Hello everyone, how you doing? It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update and all the physical releases coming to the Switch. We are in the third week of the shortest month of the year, February 14th until the 18th, Monday to Friday. Remember, once we get to 100,000 subscribers, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch OLED model to one of you, so please subscribe so we can get there as soon as possible. Also, now this week there's going to be no community spotlight, mainly because, you know, the Nintendo Direct just happened, and instead of the community spotlight, I want to give you my thoughts on the Direct. I'm going to go through the announcements one by one. You're probably not interested, but I need to get it off my chest. I have no one to talk to, you know, about, you know, if I try to talk to my wife about the Nintendo Direct, she's kind of like, so yeah, it's kind of like therapy for me. So please bear with me as I talk about my reaction to the wonderful Direct. But first, this week's games. Infernax is a game that took me by surprise somewhat. I remember Limited Run putting this up for pre-order a while back before the game was even finished, but it's crept up and now it's getting its retail release in Europe this week. Time has literally no meaning to me these days. I mean, Limited Run could have done like 2 years ago or 2 weeks ago. I have no idea. Anyways, this is kind of a mix between old school Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden with excessive amounts of pixel gore and badassery. This was actually kickstarted in 2015, but then they refunded the pledges after 2 years, saying they just couldn't develop it at the moment. But they promised they'd bring it back someday, and well, 7 years after it was announced, Infernax is here. I've heard very good things about it. I hope the wait was worth it. And our executive producers Jonathan Rumor and Parsnip Coffee chosen this as their pick of the week. Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires is releasing this week, tomorrow I think. You guys know I'm a fan of the series, more of the old ones than the new ones, but this is something that I'd really been excited about reviewing, but the embargo was like an hour before this video is usually scheduled to go out, which means I'd have to delay one or the other, and I'm sorry, even though that would have gotten more views in the long run, this series is just more important to me. Plus, I'm sure Switch Up, they'll probably be doing it either today or tomorrow, so go check out their review if you really want to know about it. After this video, of course. Anyways, DW9 is an apparent trash fire game, but I'm sure it's been massively tweaked for the slightly more tactical variation of Empires, which I do enjoy. I do wonder if it's going to run like arse gravy on the Switch though. That is always a worry with these Musou games. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're buttery smooth, like Samurai Warriors 5. That was like smooth as a lubed up eel. But, you know, the Hyrule Warriors games, not so much. Assassin's Creed, the Ezio collection, is releasing on the Switch this week. This has got all 3 games, but yeah, only the first game is on the cartridge, whereas Brotherhood and Revelation are downloads. So yeah, they either cheaped out on a smaller cartridge, or the file size is just too monstrous to even fit on any cartridge, which I think is probably, you know, developers, they don't like compressing their games. Capcom, looking at you. I mean, many people regard these as the best in the series. I've only played some of the Assassin's Creed games, none of these ones though, back when the series was a lot more quaint than it is today. And our executive producer Robotech has chosen this as his pick of the week. Record of Lodoss War is releasing at retail in Europe this week. I know tons of you already imported the Japanese version and played it and enjoyed it, but for those not adventurous enough to import, then now is the time to get your hands on it finally. Remember, in North America, this is only available at Video Game Plus. This is a short but very enjoyable Metroidvania experience, some really great, awesome pixel work, and if you watch my review, you'll know about it already. And that I am an animal abuser because I put a flame to my mother-in-law's plant. Because who needs science to go along with your accusations? Elisa, God of Resin, Mental Traveler, Dane Wilkinson, and Thorn Metal Luna have all chosen this as their pick of the week. Astroneer is finally seeing its Western physical release after already being released in Japan. This is a planetary exploration game that's a really nice co-op game as you survive and reshape the environment. It's kind of like a sandbox game where there are no real objectives, just having a lot of fun, pissing about on hoverboards, building bases and shooting off into space. Maybe a bit of Minecraft with a bit of No Man's Sky, although I have been told it has a horrendous amount of cosmetic DLC, which is kind of off-putting. Remember when that stuff used to be free as like rewards for, you know, playing the game? Anyways, Grantsert and Cartoon Soren, they've chosen this as their pick of the week. Before we get into the low prints, I just want to give you guys a heads up. Things may have been quiet from me on the review front the past couple of weeks. To be honest, despite the personal issues I've mentioned already in the past, not much has taken my fancy to review. You know I like more obscure stuff than like the bigger titles. I'm into imports, and so last week I asked our YouTube members to help me decide which game I should go back and review, because there's been tons of games that I've wanted to review but never had the time when they originally released. I asked them to vote, and so look forward to this week with a review of Eastward. Yes, I am pointlessly reviewing it for my own pleasure. What a world. If you like the idea of me pointlessly reviewing old stuff when I have the free time, not getting in the way of like more important reviews, then please be there to watch it sometime this week. I'd massively appreciate that. Alright, let's get into the low print releases. Book of Demons is Super Rare's latest physical release. This is an isometric dungeon explorer. It's presented in the style of kind of like being a board game with using cards as your abilities. I was on board with this until I found out that there's cards in here. Why do they do it? What is it about video game developers and cards? Anyways, I don't really have much to say about this, although I do know people are excited about it. 4,000 available on Thursday, so be there. And our executive producers Boombox, Issa, Brent McLean, and Vey have chosen this as their pick of the week. Othercide is Limited Run's game this week. This is a pretty neat strategy RPG that's trying to be dripping in atmosphere. You know when you get home from work and you're just completely dripping in atmosphere? It's a nightmare to clean out of the carpets. This has roguelike elements, so you're gonna be failing a lot until you get better, which is not something I'd have thought worked with a strategy game, but I haven't played it, and the reviews for it on Steam seem very positive indeed. And our executive producers Alexander Cato and Raven Knight have chosen this as their pick of the week. Alright, before we get into the imports, I would like to point you in the direction of VM Paradise, the #1, not technically, home for visual novel content on YouTube. Yesterday I posted a video all about Switch import stuff. I took people through all the visual novels on the Switch that are import exclusive with English. I know you guys are all about physical versions, so yeah, it's a big old list, and it's grown quite a lot since I did it like last year. Please check that video out, I really appreciate it. It's very useful, and do me another favor and subscribe even if you don't care about visual novels. Do me a favor. The video link is in the pinned comment. Alright, the imports. Remember guys, if anything takes your fancy and you'd like to import it for yourself, then consider using the links below in the description and the pinned comment. If you use those links, then it also helps support this series ever so much. You guys are wonderful, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Plus, in return for using our links, you can get a very nice 5% off any physical item from PlayAsia if you use our coupon code GETPHYSICAL. That's all one word, GETPHYSICAL, while checking out for 5% off any physical item from PlayAsia that is not on sale. I know a lot of people have complained or kind of wondered why they can't use the code, and it's because you're probably trying to buy something that's on sale, and you can't use the code along with that, okay? So keep that in mind. The code does work, just not in every circumstance now. The Table Game Deluxe Pack is the premier import this week. This is part of the Simple series, a low-budget line of cheap-ass games, and here you have 13 kinds of table games, all of which have English, apparently. I mean, it looks like they have proper Mahjong, like proper Mahjong. If that has English, well, it might as well be an essential pickup for me. I have all the other Simple series games on the Switch, so why not this piece of shit too? Touken Ranbu Musou is releasing in Japan this week. This is a licensed tie-in with a Musou style gameplay. It looks interesting, but there is no English, sadly. And also, I want to give a shout out to 2 PlayAsia exclusives that are probably shipping this week. I know PlayAsia will have their hands on both The Letter and Love Esquire, so depending on their situation, they are likely to be sent out to you guys this week. The Letter is a really cool horror visual novel. It's pretty epic. I'm halfway through reading it, and it's definitely hitting all the right marks for me. It's about a group of friends and acquaintances caught up in the curse of a creepy-ass mansion. It's fully voiced with some awful pretend British accents, but aside from that, I think it's really quite good. I'm enjoying it a lot. Remember, there is a standard edition and a collector's edition with some really awesome, scary artwork. And Love Esquire is the second one. This is a visual novel mixed in with tongue-in-cheek turn-based JRPG gameplay. Here you try to woo the ladies as a bit of a loser squire, not even a knight as of yet, but yeah, he wants to get his end away before he goes off to war. This is full of cheeky humor with really amazing animation, although it's clearly a little bit on the shallow side, but then again, so are half the human race. Remember, this is also in a standard and collector's edition. Okay, that's it for this week's releases, and there's no community spotlight this week because I actually want to run through my reaction and opinions on the Nintendo Direct from last week. I know it's kind of old news by now, but I thought it was such a brilliant presentation that I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys. Also, I asked our executive producers what their favorite announcement was, and so yeah, they got to pick one each as well if they actually replied to me. Alright, it all kicked off with Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I think at the beginning everyone was thinking it was a sequel to Three Houses, but were quickly crushed by the fact that no, it's just in the Musou series, which is a series I really enjoy, but surprisingly did not much enjoy Fire Emblem Warriors. I can't really explain why, but it just didn't do it for me. I know a lot of people thought it was the best Musou game alongside the Zelda ones, which is fair, but I'm not massively interested in this one myself. But our executive producer JCross77777776 is, because it's his pick of the Direct. We also got a quick update on Advance Wars 1 and 2. When this was first announced, I thought the visuals were pretty horrible. Cheap looking plasticky thing. Maybe I've gotten over it, maybe I'm more prepared for it mentally, but it didn't seem half as bad this time around. Anyways, Advance Wars, some of the cleanest, purest strategy games that money can buy, and if you don't already own them on the GBA or Virtual Console, it's going to be essential. No Man's Sky was a big surprise for me. I never ever expected to see this on the Switch, especially since it's an actual native version, not on the cloud. Thing about this is that I actually liked No Man's Sky even way before the updates, because I didn't follow the hype at all or the crushing disappointment, but one summer when I went back to the UK, I played my dad's copy before any updates had happened, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, I like the shit version for what it was, and now I get to play an upgraded version, so I'm looking forward to that quite a lot. Mario Strikers finally returns. I was just going to say in time for the Footy World Cup this summer, but then I realized it's actually in the winter because they were daft enough to give it to Qatar. Anyways, it's been since the Wii launch that we got a game in this series. It's been too long, way too long. Fun, arcadey football, well up for this, and thankfully it is being developed by Next Level Games just like the original, so hopefully we get to keep some of that attitude they were known for back then. I'm really hoping Waluigi will once again invite his opponents to take a gander at his Todger. Splatoon 3 Salmon Run was shown off. Can I just say, like, I know Nintendo, they've got to show Splatoon 3. You know, they're not going to release one of their biggest franchises without promoting it, but I really don't need to see it. I mean, it's Splatoon. What more could we possibly need to see? It's Splatoon. I don't need to see it. I'm excited for it. I want it. I love Splatoon. I just don't need to see it, okay? Just give me the game, and I'm happy. Is that just me? Am I being weird? I don't know. Front Mission 1 and 2 have been announced as remakes. Something tells me this was rumored beforehand. I don't know, but I do remember that Forever Entertainment announced that they were working on Square franchises like a year or so back, and it scared the shit out of everyone because while they have some decent stuff, they are known for absolute shovelware and Hollow, the worst game that I've played on the Switch. But this looks like it could be alright. I'm sure Square will be observing them closely enough, not messing up one of their franchises. At least it's not Final Fantasy or something. Forever Entertainment did not take my review of Hollow well, so our relationship hasn't been the smoothest over the years, but I'm willing to suck their unwiped arsehole to get a review copy of this, and hopefully it's not shit because yeah, we'll have to deal with the consequences afterwards. And our executive producers, Alexander Cato and Vey, chose this as their pick of the Direct. Disney Speedstorm looks alright, but then you found out it's a free-to-play game and suddenly your entire enthusiasm is sucked out of you. I mean, all you're going to think about is how are they going to cock-block you from accessing content. So yeah, I might try it, but I highly doubt it's going to get in the way of another announcement that was made near the end of this Direct. Star Wars The Force Unleashed is on the Switch. I mean, fine, they could have bundled both the games together into one package to make it more value. Neither are the longest games in the world, so Yeah, I don't know. I suspect Limited Run will probably be getting first dibs on this. Star Wars is one of the few things that still sell gangbusters for them these days. Now, after I spoke to a few people about the Direct afterwards, at least like 5 of them said that they knew my favorite announcement was going to be the SD Gundam game. Yes, Battle Alliance. Well, they do know me well enough, but sadly, it was outshined a little bit by a few other stuff. But regardless, I am excited, and I'm surprised it's getting a proper Western release as well. We don't know if it's physical, but the fact that it's at least going on the eShop kinda amazes me. Action RPG with Dinky Gundam, sign me up. Chrono Cross! I've played Chrono Trigger, but I've never played Chrono Cross since it's yet another Square JRPG that never made it to Europe. And there's been massive rumors surrounding this one since like late last year, so I think I was already mentally prepared for it. If there had been no speculation at all, I'd have probably lost my absolute shit when they announced this. And this may have been the best announcement for the whole of the show for me. Yeah, some have said that it looks like a quick port, more like Final Fantasy VII port rather than like a Legend of Mana remaster or Trials of Mana or whatever. But regardless, I'm so happy to play this finally, although I may play it on the Vita beforehand to get a feel for it. I can't wait for it. Plus, the visual novel accompaniment is finally being localized and re-released, so I'm sure we'll see a review of that on VM Paradise. Hint hint. And our executive producers, Robotech, Jonathan Rumor, Dane Wilkinson, Thorn Metal Luna, and Parsnip Coffee, they have chosen this as their pick of the Direct. Nintendo showed more details about Kirby, which to be honest, I've kind of shied away from looking at too much, but I did pay attention this time around, and it looks brilliant. Yeah, it's a 3D environment, but it still looks kind of linear, which makes sense, showing off new powers, so adorable, and I think this could be regarded as like a new level of quality from Kirby. I know people love his games, and I find them just a little bit too simple, but this slightly open 3D environment, I mean, yeah, I could definitely be down with this. Klonoa Phantasy Reverie series, I bet this reveal made a lot of people happy. I've been an outside observer to the series. I've watched Let's Plays back when I had free time and nothing to do with my life, and they seem deceptively simple, but very lovely and charming games. This seems to have Klonoa 1 and 2 together. Happy, colourful, reminds me of Kirby 64, which I have played, and I'd be up for this. Always up for Bandai bringing back old franchises. Now give me Ridge Racer. Remember that one?
Ridge Racer! Remember that one?
And our executive producer Cartoon Story chosen this as his pick of the Direct. The Portal Collection. Yes, 2 of the greatest games ever made on the Nintendo Switch. Why not? Why not? I've played them both, and maybe I don't need to play them again, but for those who haven't got a PC for some reason, it's a really great opportunity to play them. Shout out to the co-op campaign in Portal 2, its own dedicated co-op story mode, which is utterly brilliant. Best co-op experience I've ever had, I think. Live Alive. This is where I got goosebumps. I mean, have you almost shed a tear for something you never knew you ever wanted? I did. This is absolute proof that HD 2D is the best art style ever created. I had vaguely heard of this name when researching old Square games. It looked interesting, but the visuals were definitely the biggest problem. This though, holy mama! If there was a game that needed it, Live Alive is it. As Square games like these are often partial to doing, you have 8 protagonists, each with a different experience before coming together where the story all makes kind of sense. And I genuinely cannot wait for this. It looks absolutely superb. I think the US is getting a physical release for sure, probably Europe too, but I didn't see any box art for that as of yet when I'm recording this. And I am 100% getting this. And our executive producers, Mental Traveler, Brent McLean, and Z, they chose this as their pick of the Direct. Nintendo Switch Sports made me lament the loss of E3 because you know that showdown could have been oh so much more painful on stage in LA. Yeah, this is kind of where the absolute barrage of games came to a stop for 5 minutes, but you know, I'll give them 5 to take a breather. All in all, this could be good. They don't have golf straight away, which sounds like an absolute disaster in my opinion, but it could be a fairly big hit on the Switch. The Wii U version died an absolute death, but you know, there are like 10 times as many grannies on the Switch now who can play this. Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival looks madcap as ever. I love this series, and it really is more. You have 70 songs, some of which have been reused, not all new, which is a shame, especially since some of the songs are on the other Switch Taiko games, kind of feel a bit shortchanged there. And I'm not sure how I feel about the subscription service. 500 songs seems like a lot, but I bet most of that is from the vast amounts of DLC that Drum and Fun had, which I bought quite a lot of. I mean, just let me pay one time and I'm happy. I really hate unnecessary subscription services. I just won't pay for it. When you have like software with a subscription, do me a favor, smeg off. I wanted to buy like a camera app for my phone, you know, make these videos a little bit better, maybe, I don't know, just fiddle with, you know, a little bit. But they want a subscription for it. You can't pay one off for a camera app. You have to pay every month. Smeg off, no. They're just banking on people, you know, like forgetting to cancel their subscription. Nonsense! Don't do it! Just let me pay one time. Anyway, rant aside, I'm quite looking forward to this. Metroid Dread got an update, which is great for those who are lucky enough to have played it. Adds 2 new difficulties, Baby Mode and Try Hard Mode, neither of which I have any interest in taking advantage of. Also, a Boss Rush Mode is coming later. I mean, it's good that they're adding stuff, but, you know, this is hardly groundbreaking and probably could have been in the game at release, if I'm being harsh. The first 2 Earthbound games got put on Switch Online emulators, which is great news. It was always one of the biggest holes in the library. I played Earthbound Beginnings on the Wii U, and yeah, it's more of a window into history than a bearable game today. Revolutionary for the time, but I could not get on with it. It's just like Earthbound, but balked by the NES. Earthbound itself, well, it's a classic. Not one of my personal favorites. I like it. I'm just not one of those people who thinks it's like the best thing ever. Same with the Chrono Trigger. I like Chrono Trigger. Fantastic JRPG. Just not one of my all-time favorites. And our executive producer Boombox chose this as his pick of the direct. GetsuFumaDen. Undying Moon is proof that Konami do have some interesting developing games that aren't Japanese exclusive baseball or board games. This looks pretty nifty. It was one of the stealth drops. Action side-scrolling roguelike. It's been on PC for early access, and after the direct happened, I got a little twinkle in my eye thinking, hey, I could give this a quick review before anyone else. And then I saw people's playtime on Steam at like 30-40 hours and thought, no, I like living, I don't want to kill myself with that. Anyway, looks decent, fingers crossed for a physical release in the future. Lego Brawls. I don't really have too much to say about this aside from that I didn't hate it. It looked pretty fun actually, and I know the original was an Apple Arcade release, which sounds horrendous for a fighting game. But, tangent, when is Fantasia coming to the Switch? Is it Fantasia? Fantasian? I don't know. The one made by the developer who made Final Fantasy. I want that. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC was the biggest surprise for me, and I would say the most pleasant surprise, because yeah, people have been calling for Mario Kart 9, but you know, Nintendo are more clever than those people, including myself. Obviously, Mario Kart 9 is going to be a launch title for the next iteration of Nintendo's hardware, whether a brand new console or a small upgrade. Mario Kart 9 is the perfect launch title in a couple of years. And while I was one of those simpletons thinking I wanted 9 over DLC, they have just stabbed a syringe of adrenaline in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the Switch's best-selling game. I mean, when I thought about DLC, I was thinking like 8 tracks, 16 at the most, you know. 48 tracks as DLC. That is just mind-blowing. It's insane to think about. When you think about the base Mario Kart 8, then you think about the first wave of DLC like years and years ago, and then this is like almost 100 tracks. For a racing game, that is absolutely mental. This is like the Smash Ultimate of Mario Kart. Every track is here. My mind cannot comprehend that. Yeah, they're mostly old tracks, probably ported from Mario Kart Tour, but let's face it, this is going to breathe so much life into the game. Honestly, I fired up my copy again just in sheer excitement. Can't wait for it. It is a shame they're being spread out, but I get it. I would have liked them to have just dumped it all in one go, but you know, patience. Patience. Plus, you can really savor each drop in itself. And our executive producer grants it. He chose this as his pick of the direct. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Let's face it, as soon as you heard the British voice acting, you knew it was Xenoblade. I really love the insistence of a Japanese company putting in British voices into an anime JRPG. I guess some Americans can't take it, but you know, how many years have we had to put up with Americanized everything? Even if, as a British person, I can fully accept the British voices here are a little bit dodgy. in a charming way. Anyways, I should probably go back and complete Xenoblade 2 before this comes out. I'm actually looking forward to this a bit more since it does seem less fanservice-y anime with the character designs, more in line with the original game. And I can't believe this is supposed to be September. That's mental. I guess it's been 5 years after Xeno 2, but still, I thought they were working on another project. And also, the soundtrack, we've hardly heard anything of it, and yet you can tell it's gonna be a masterpiece. And our executive producers, Elissa, Issa, God of Resin, Raven Knight, they chose this as their pick of the direct. Overall for me, that was an absolutely superb Nintendo Direct. And this is coming from someone who rarely gets blown away by them. I'm usually the it was alright kind of guy, but this was exceptional. And I don't think people realize this Direct was primarily about the first half of the year. And I think aside from like Xenoblade, which they thought they'd make an exception for to end with a big bang, very few of the games shown here were after July. Just think about that. This is set up to be Nintendo's best ever year. 2017 was insane, and I swear if they get Breath of the Wild 2 out this year, like this is it. This is it. This is the year they needed after, cruising for a couple. I mean, it's missing a mainline Mario game, but hey, maybe Kirby can take that place. I don't know. What do you guys think? I would love to know your thoughts and your favorite announcements. Just don't be that guy on Twitter who said like it was like a 1 out of 10 for him. Nobody is that miserable, even me. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this very long episode of New Physical. Special thanks to our executive producers Dean Wilkinson, God of Resin, Boombox, Brent McLean, Jonathan Ruma, Santa Tartaruga, Alexander Cato, JCross7776, Elissa, Punkidusa, Michael Del Polito, Cartoon Soren, Robotech Z, Raven Knight, Thorn Metal Luna, Parsnip Coffee, Government Fat Cat, Issa, V, Mental Traveler, and Grant Sir. Thank you for your support. Plus you watching right now. If you watched all of this, you're frankly insane, but you help support us. And if you're one of those people, give me a high five in the comments so I know who you are. I'll give you a high five back because you help us grow. You help spread the word of this channel. So check out some of our other stuff. Remember to check out VM Paradise. We have all the Switch physical imports for visual novels. You definitely want to check that out, I promise you. And we've got some other stuff as well. Please check those out. See you guys over there. Have a good one.